Should you buy an iPad Pro? We're going to count down 5 reasons you shouldn't. We'll also give you some reasons to take the plunge. Just be aware, this list could change after the full review of the iPad Pro. Let's start with the negative side. At number 5 is the newish iOS. If you're coming from the previous generation of iPad Pros, you might have to do some learning. The iPhone X ushered in the era of a gesture-based iOS. Yes, swipey gestures came to iPads as well, but if you kept using your home button for things, there will be an adjustment period. It doesn't matter how powerful or fast the new iPad Pros are if you're struggling to interact with a new interface. At number 4 is courageous omissions. For whatever reason, Apple ditched its proprietary Lightning port from the new powerful iPad Pros. If you've invested in Lightning adapters or Lightning cables to charge your previous iPad, both are not directly usable. USB-C is now the darling of Apple's eye. In the future, USB-C will be all that's left, but right now, it's the present. What about the headphone jack? Apple spent a great deal of time trying to blur the line between its tablet and more traditional PCs. That seems to be odd since Apple has kept the headphone jack on its Mac line of laptops. If you want to quietly edit your creative masterpieces on the new iPad Pro, enjoy getting a dongle or using a pair of Bluetooth headphones because the standard headphone jack is gone. Coming in at number 3 is future apps. Apple had Adobe come on stage and show off what was called Real Photoshop on an iPad Pro. That means lots of control, layers, and Adobe's wealth of tools. That could be really great, eventually, in the future. If you pick up an iPad Pro immediately, you're not going to get Real Photoshop until next year. It'll probably take other developers some time to take full advantage of the new iPad Pros. So if you're looking to use the new iPad Pro to its fullest, maybe wait a little bit. And number 2, you got burned. Did you buy into the dream of a pro-level iPad in the past and get a keyboard and a pencil? I've got some bad news. The smart connector placement has changed, meaning you'll need a new smart connector keyboard for the latest iPad Pros. The older pencil accessory is not compatible with the new iPad Pro. According to Apple's site, the original pencil works with the older iPad Pro models. Oh, and that new magnetic Apple Pencil is compatible only with the redesigned iPad Pros. Before we get to number 1, let's talk about reasons to pick up the new iPad Pro. That redesign is sleek and modern. The new iPad Pro fits large screens into smaller bodies, making the biggest iPads more portable. Apple also packed in what it called Advanced Face ID into the iPad Pro. This should make it easier to log into the device without having to rotate it too much. The move to USB-C could be a great sign for the iPad Pro. Can you imagine using standard cables, maybe hooking up gadgets easily to the iPad Pro? We'll have to see what Apple allows to work with that port. And the best reason to pick up the newest iPad Pro has to be the internal horsepower. The demos at Apple's event, like games, Photoshop, and augmented reality, looked really slick. Apple packed lots of power into its latest tablet. There's also gigabit LTE inside if you opt for the cell version. And now, let us return to the dark side. And the number 1 reason to stay away from the new iPad Pro is price creep. The iPad Pro starts at $799 for the base config. If you want more storage than 64 gigabytes, that's gonna cost you. If you max out all the specs on the iPad Pro, you're looking at a price tag of $1,899. If you want to use an iPad Pro more like a traditional laptop, enjoy shelling out up to $199 for the new Smart Keyboard Folio. Plus, that new pencil is extra. With that kind of money, you can pick up a new MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, so choose wisely. Now you can decide whether to plunk down your hard-earned cash or not. I'm Ayaz Akhtar, and I'll see you online.